A few days ago, the Cabinet took its unanimous decision to devalue the pound. I can now tell you why we have taken this action, and more importantly, what it will mean for you. From now on, the pound abroad will be worth 14% or so less in terms of other currencies. Now, this does not mean, of course, that the pound here in Britain, in your pocket or your purse or your bank, has been devalued. What it does mean is that the goods we buy from abroad will be dearer. So for many goods, it will be cheaper to buy British. Now, this devaluation has been a hard decision, and some of its consequences will be hard for a time. For 3 years, this government has fought, as it was our duty to fight, the burden of the deficit that the previous government left us with. But now is not the time to attribute blame. Now is our chance to break free from that straitjacket, to seize this opportunity with both hands. This is a proud nation. We're out on our own now. Now, we must choose to put Britain first.
The Great Britain of our childhood is dying before us. The country is bankrupt, our national security is in tatters, our allies are in despair. And on our current trajectory, by 1970, we will be a vassal state, a pariah. I don't know about you, sir, but I'd sooner die than stand idly by and watch this happen. And to that end, my associates and I have come up with a plan to put the country back on track.
Which is?
Replacing the Prime Minister and installing a new emergency government.
What?
And in his place, we would need to install an inspirational figurehead. Someone who could unite the nation, command its respect, someone who had stepped into a national leadership role before. Now, there are some obvious candidates, but frankly, none would be as good as you, sir.
No, this is quite unthinkable. At this point, I should close my ears. Despite my own very profound reservations regarding our Prime Minister, what you're talking about is effectively a coup. And I can have nothing whatsoever to do with it.
In peacetime, it's true, an intervention like this would be unconstitutional. But we believe this is no longer peacetime. And the circumstances are unprecedented and quite exceptional.
Gerald.
In order to hijack control of the economy, Wilson and his socialist colleagues have devised a plan. Plan Brutus, which would strip the Bank of England of all its powers, freeze the sterling balances of foreign governments, and enforce crash cuts in defense spending.
Bankers cannot be allowed to run the show. The Bank of England has known about gold pouring out of the country since Monday and has done nothing to stop it.
What is our response?
The imposition of exchange controls, the crash cuts in defence expenditure, and the compulsory acquisition of all privately held overseas securities.
Show of hands.
It is an effective declaration of war. Freedom, democracy, and capitalism.
We must act now. Not just to save Britain, but the world. We are proposing a radical revolution led by bankers, businessmen, and the armed forces. Professionals who can save us from amateurism, incompetence, and Russian infiltration. And as our interim leader, we can think of no one better than you, sir.
This is all very interesting. May I suggest that we meet again in 48 hours?
Gentlemen, in the
past decade alone, there have, by my reckoning, been 73 coups in 46 different countries around the world. And the success of some of these might encourage us. In Ghana 2 years ago, President Nkrumah was ousted with just 500 men. When in 1961, South Korea, Major General Park Chung-hee seized power with 3,500 men. And in 1964, in Gabon, just 150 men were able to arrest President Umba and thus gain control over the levers of state power. And of course, it was with just one legion that Caesar crossed the Rubicon. And perhaps we would not seek to follow his fate. Sic semper tyrannis, gentlemen. Now, what all successful insurgencies have in common are 5 key elements: control of the media, control of the economy, and the capture of administrative targets, for which you need the 4th element, the loyalty of the military. Now, in Ghana and Gabon, this can be achieved with a handful of battalions. But here, in the United Kingdom, we would need to secure Parliament, Whitehall, the Ministry of Defence, and the Cabinet Office. Prime Minister will be arrested, of course, along with other politicians still loyal. We would have to shut down the airports, air traffic control, same with the train stations. Curfews will be put in place, martial law declared. And I haven't even mentioned the police. It would take tens of thousands of unquestioningly loyal servicemen. And even in my heyday, I could never command that. Which brings me to the 5th element: legitimacy. Now, our government draws its strength from long-established institutions that support it. The courts, body of common law, the Constitution. For any action against the state to succeed, you'd have to overthrow these as well. But in a highly evolved democracy such as ours, their authority is sacrosanct. Which is why, gentlemen, a coup d'etat in the United Kingdom doesn't stand a chance. Unless we have the support of the one person not yet mentioned.
You see the temperament.
The Crown has at its disposal unique constitutional powers, which could still make something like this possible. In 1834, William IV used them to dismiss his government in the face of opposition from the House. And in 1920, the Emergency Powers Act was passed, which gave the sovereign power in certain circumstances to declare a state of emergency by proclamation, meaning our Queen could dissolve Parliament and appoint a new government, and a Prime Minister as well. She's also Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. They swear allegiance to her and not to Parliament, so could count on their support to see it through. She is our Caesar.
And you think she might entertain this idea?
The circumstances are certainly compelling. I've made a list here of exactly how compelling. And as her second cousin, I am in an ideal position to ask.
Lord Mountbatten, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty. You asked to see me?
I did.
Oh, well, great minds think alike. As it happens, I was planning to drop by myself. On a matter of great importance. I'm getting a feeling that I've not had since Dieppe. That I'm walking into a trap.
I'd like to think you had that sinking feeling on another occasion recently. When going to see your friends at the Bank of England. Is it even true?
Yes, I did go to lunch at the Bank of England to meet and listen to people who are horrified by what's happening to the country. A horror I hope you share.
Perhaps. But conspiring with them is not the solution.
It is the beginning of a solution. Why are you doing this? Why would you protect a man like Wilson?
I am protecting the Prime Minister. I am protecting the Constitution. I am protecting democracy.
But if the man at the heart of that democracy threatens to destroy it, are we supposed to just stand by and do nothing?
Yes. Doing nothing is exactly what we do, and bide our time. And wait for the people that voted him in to vote him out again, if indeed that is what they decide to do.